Why?
Let's go!
This show fucking stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for it.
AJ, you never cease to amaze me with your toxicity, pal.
You got a couple of these?
God damn it!
What the fuck are you doing?
Fuck Boston College.
Hello and welcome. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I am AJ Hawk sitting in for Pat. My first time here experiencing the Thunderdome. I believe I'm looking somewhere near in the right direction for all of the guys here. And I walked right through it. Right through the Evie's new beat. Friday, September 23rd. Feel Good Friday. Ty Schmidt is here. Ty, let's cut to him real quick. Oh no, where's Con Man?
Con Man is at his brother's wedding this weekend back home, so, you know, it's just going to be me and AJ today, but, you know, it's going to be good.
It's going to be awesome. Yeah, Ty, don't worry about everyone else behind the glass. We see Zeke, Nick Moraldo, Evan Fox, Gertie is back there, Mitt is back there, and who are the two gentlemen as well that are back there with the technical situations?
That's Big and Deepak.
Big and Deepak, got to meet those guys. Appreciate you guys.
Legends.
This place is unbelievable. First off, I know I got to get it out of the way before we get into all the football. The Browns,
right.
Unbelievable bad beat over the Pittsburgh
I'll
Steelers.
say.
Last play.
Moving on.
2 seconds. Yeah, we will get into it for sure. There's plenty of weird things that happened last night, but this place is amazing. Walked in, got to experience everything that is the FanDuel Thunderdome. It's just super cool, man. It's super hot in here. I'm sweating my balls off, as you can see, Ty.
It's not that bad. You know, in typical AJ fashion, he came in, you know, opened every single door, walked through the entire place, asked a billion questions. But, yeah, this place is incredible. It's incredible.
It really is. Ty, I'm a curious person. You know that. But before we even mess with any of that, let's get into what happened last night. So Pat will be with us in the 1 o'clock hour here, as he normally is on these Fridays. He is in Knoxville, Tennessee for the Knoxville, Florida football game. Should be an awesome matchup. College football, man, it's fun. I watched that Virginia Tech intro video on the way here, actually, on my phone. I think Gumpy may have put in the group chat. Awesome, by the way, everything that college football does with that. But let's get to last night, Ty. Let's start first off with the Brownies. If you're a Brownies fan, if you're the Browns, do you feel pretty good about it? Jacoby Brissett, pretty efficient at least. Looked like he's definitely in control. Looked like a savvy vet. Not explosive, really, by any means. But Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, obviously the team runs through them.
I don't know. It's weird. I mean, first of all, you know, just removing yourself from the bad beat, because that was just an all-timer. It was tough.
Can you explain a little bit for people that may not know exactly what happened and exactly what happened with the same game parlay, how it screwed everybody?
Yeah, exactly. Pat's Super Boost last night, which was a juicy one. It was locked up. I think we had Pittsburgh plus 7.5. Najee Harris to score a touchdown and Nick Chubb to score a touchdown. Notched the other two, you know, very quickly, very early on. We were feeling good going into the third quarter. And then you have, you know, an annexation of Puerto Rico type situation on the last play of the game. The Browns score a touchdown, backdoor cover. We lose the Super Boost. I mean, I did. I went and just fucking collapsed into my bed afterwards. But I don't know. If you're a Browns fan.
But what about FanDuel, though? FanDuel, didn't they help out?
They did. FanDuel, which, you know, shout out, because they did say, hey, all-time bad beats. They're refunding every bet people made.
Up to 24 hours, is that right?
Yeah, within like 24 hours, I think they'll have a credit. But it just, like, for parts of the game, I feel like they go away from Nick Chubb. Like, he's just killing the Steelers. And then, I mean, for good reason maybe, because Amari Cooper played really well last night. But it's just hard to know what that. Like, that game was obviously a lot closer than it probably should have been with how bad Pittsburgh's offense was in the
Cleveland
second
should have, they should have, it felt like at times, it was 14-13 for 2 hours, I feel like. They should have found a way to end the game or to finish it a little earlier. You feel like, and Nick Chubb, I don't know, I'm sure we could find the stat or whatever, but does that dude have any negative yardage runs? Like, how many times is he losing yards? Because there's times he's getting hit 3, 4, 5 yards in the backfield by 2 or 3 guys, and he still finds the way to squeak a yard or two out of it.
He's incredibly explosive. Like, it just – but there was a point there where he had, like, 8 rushes for, like, 65 yards maybe, and it was when he ended up scoring that touchdown in the fourth quarter. They had Kareem Hunt on the field for, you know, like 7 plays in a row, it seemed like. I feel like he kills it early, and then Stefanski kind of gets a little pass happy. Like, maybe just, you know, once Deshaun gets back, like, you can see how they'd be super explosive, but
was his
I don't
knee
know.
fucked up from that tackle?
Who, Chubb?
Yeah.
Well, let's see that, Evie, if you have that play for us. So early in the game, very first series, was it not the first play here, right? Maybe the second play of the game.
Second play.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb. So you think you want to play in the NFL? You think you want to be a safety in the NFL? Watch Minkah Fitzpatrick here. If you run this thing. So Chubb, obviously, nice cut. He's downhill. Bam. Now let's watch this end zone view. If you see this, I remember watching in real time. Watch Minkah Fitzpatrick. First off, unbelievably difficult tackle to make in space on a guy who is an absolute monster with huge legs. Now watch the right knee of Chubb. Right, bam, boom, right off the temple of Minkah Fitzpatrick. And I guarantee you Minkah felt that, and Minkah might be the toughest guy on the planet and have the hardest head on the planet. Because
I couldn't believe he wasn't concussed.
how was he not? I was so scared for him. That's exactly that's why they started making us wear knee pads 7 or 8 years ago, because of hits like that. Now maybe Raj Goodell it was right, and if they didn't have knee pads in there, Nick Chubb maybe knocks Minkah out. I don't know, but I don't think the science would help out with that argument anywhere that I would be hanging out. But I just honestly have so much respect for all these dudes, but Minkah and a guy like that not only make pick six last week or first week against the Bengals, all these things, making tons of plays, but then making those tackles. Those are impossible to make, and you have to have a lot of courage to do it.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. With Steelers, too, I mean, obviously he got paid, so he knows, and he's a leader of the defense and everything, but it's just so apparent how much difference their defense is without TJ Watt on there. Like, can they do anything to replace his production?
I mean, he was defense MVP of the league last year, so no, you can't. You could try to, by rotation, try to make up for some of that production, but everything that he does, a guy like TJ, to where they have to game plan around him. Like, you really do. You got to set your protections, everything, always thinking of where's this guy going to be? How do we stop him from wrecking the whole game? Like, that's what you have to do. And without him, they have Highsmith has definitely stepped up and played well. Cam Hayward obviously is Cam Hayward. But yeah, you can't replace these guys. There's a defensive MVP for a reason.
And does it even matter, because the offense fucking stinks? And Mitch,
I wanted to get to that.
You know.
So Nick Moraldo's back there. Nick, I know you have a million things on your plate. You're running all kinds of buttons and boards and everything. How did you feel about your Steelers? You know, you're a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan for a long time. Honestly, what's your honest opinion of this team?
After last night, highly, highly concerned, because the first half looked pretty good, all things considered, on offense compared to what it had been. It felt like Matt Canada, the offense coordinator, was listening to what everybody was saying, which was kind of the obvious. Like, hey, let's take some deep shots. Let's try and establish a run game, and let's not just rely on just screens and little short stuff and outs and everything. Let's try and sustain some offense, keep drives alive, work the middle of the field a little bit. Mitch was getting outside the pocket, throwing on the move, kind of making things happen with his feet. And then I don't know if he had some of that NyQuil chicken that everybody's been eating at halftime or what, but the second half was a totally different story. And Mitch looked uncomfortable. The receivers looked like they weren't on the same page, looked like they don't trust one another, and they couldn't really do anything in the run game outside of a couple good runs from Naj in the O-line.
Well, I mean, we also had one of the greatest catches of the season, maybe the greatest catches of the last 10 years.
Throw that man the ball.
Pickens here. I mean, you got to be. They showed the Odell Beckham Jr. one-hander about 15 times right after this. But, man, what a catch. This is what you got to do. If you say that you're open 100% of the time, these are the catches, I guess, that you're expected to make. But I don't think any human on earth is expected to make this catch right here.
That was incredible. But also, Mitch, and I saw a lot of people saying, the catch is unbelievable. Mitch's ball placement here. That's what
it's good ball placement here.
It is, but I mean, they did this early, and then I guess Pickens did have the one later in the red zone where he tried to catch it one-handed again, and it ended up getting picked off, but he stepped out of bounds. So I guess
he could have he could have put two hands up on that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he saw the coach in the sideline kind of say something to him as well, and even Kirk mentioned it. But, man, those are the circus catches that, I mean, you can't ever expect that to happen, but geez. What are we going to do, though? Honestly, what do they do at the quarterback position? Mike Tomlin afterwards, obviously, he addresses it. They ask him, are you making a QB change? What are you doing? And he eventually says definitively no. I believe we have the clip right here. Thanks, Evie. Let's check this out.
Mike, heading into the mini bye that you guys have, do you consider making any changes, whether quarterback play calling?
I'm not in that mindset.
Okay.
I'm interested in reviewing this tape and looking at the totality of it and figuring out how we collectively get better.
It's not a no.
The answer to that question is definitively no.
Now it is.
Did you think of Trubisky's performance?
I thought he made some plays, man, but we all collectively came up short. And so, that's how we measure performance, man. Winning is our business, and we didn't handle business. And so we don't
I love Mike Tomlin. Winning isn't our business, and we didn't handle business. But at first, when he said, they asked him, would you consider or could you make a change at the quarterback position? No, right now I'm not in that mindset. I just want to break this film down, which is kind of the cliche coach's answer when you're not really sure what you're going to do. But then he comes back and says so that the answer is definitively no. So which one is it, you think?
I mean, does it matter? Like, it's fun to talk about Kenny Pickett being, hometown kid.
This team needs some juice, though. You know that. This
do.
team absolutely needs something to spark them. It feels like there's a weird haze over, at least last night. I understand we're overreacting. This is what we do, and it's early in the season, but they need something to jumpstart them. I'm not saying Kenny's that guy, but maybe it's Mitch. Maybe I don't know what you do, though.
Especially last night on Amazon, when Kirk and Al are talking about how good the O-line has played when that's been a real, hey, they might just stink on the O-line all year. Everyone's saying everything about Matt Canada, but that's what I think it was Todd Haley said it earlier this week. It's like the Steelers probably aren't going to win a Super Bowl this year. They could, it's possible, but why not just put Kenny in there when they have these other young wide receivers, and let them kind of build some chemistry together and see what happens? Because Mitch isn't the long-term future. He's just not.
Yeah, I guess you were hoping when you signed Mitch and you drafted Kenny, okay, let's plug Mitch in here. Kenny can learn from him, right? He can figure this thing out, and we want Mitch to play as long as he possibly does. Hopefully we don't have to even think of pulling this guy or taking him out. But now we're sitting here in week 3, and a lot of people are asking, what do we do at the quarterback position?
And if I'm not mistaken, they have a murderer's row coming up. They might play the Jets next week. Yeah.
What's it look like, Nick? Do you know?
Yeah, they got the Jets next week, but then you work in, I think it's Philly. I can't even remember.
Tampa. In there.
Yeah, it's going to get rough.
It's hard to win the NFL, man.
Yeah, I think Baltimore too. Because
okay, sorry to cut you off there, but if they throw Kenny in and we see pretty much what we've seen so far out of this Steelers offense, then are they like, hey, now where do we go from here? What are we supposed to do? Now the whole season's a wrap? What? I don't know. I think it'd be fun to watch Kenny play, but also at the same time, I feel for Mitch. I really do. He seems like, I know in all of sports, confidence is gigantic for anybody. And I don't know how Mitch has any confidence at all right now.
Yeah, and Nick could speak to it better as an actual Steelers fan, but as a Packers fan, it's the same deal. It's if you put him in, Steelers fans, they're not expecting you to go to 5-12. That doesn't happen. The expectation is still, hey, this team should win 10 games, 11 games, and make the playoffs. And if that doesn't happen, then is it, the same deal where it's oh, fucking Kenny stinks too. What do you know?
Yeah, where do we go? Yeah, what do you think, Nick?
It's not like Mitch has been outright terrible, right?
No.
He's been almost borderline adequate is maybe a good way to say it. He's made some throws. It's you watch him and you just don't get a sense of confidence in him or the receivers and the whole group working together. He's got a little bit of happy feet in the pocket, so I see why they try and get him out and try and work those bootlegs. And
he looked great early.
Change the launch angle, as they like to say on the broadcast, and that does work. Like we said, it worked early, but that's not. I don't know if that's sustainable. When you go down a score, you're down 2 scores. You can just tell he's shaking in his boots back there.
It just feels and I don't know how much confidence the receivers have in him as well, and I don't know how much goes to Matt Canada and the scheme, what you do. I know I saw the graphic, I believe. Looks like a lot of Mitch's throws are outside, right? There's not a whole lot of shots taken in the middle of the field until the 4th quarter, I believe. Why is that?
Freiermuth didn't have a catch until the last, 3 minutes in the 4th quarter.
2 in a row, bam, bam, 2 big ones in a row.
Yeah, and it's the Browns linebackers are depleted due to injury. They were going into the game depleted due to injury, and then they had 2 injuries to the linebacking core. It's that middle of the field, you should be able to work something there. Now, great, Jacob Phillips came in for the Browns. He made a couple nice plays. But you're working with Muth, who's a pretty good tight end, pretty adequate pass catcher, and they're just not working, not looking. I don't know. That's the whole question. Is it the system, or is it Mitch's decision-making, or is it a combination of the two?
I think it's always kind of a combination of all of them. It's never just one thing. It's never cut and dry. Here it is. We do this, or we take care of this. Everything's great. It's always a combination of everything. There's a balance.
He seems gun-shy. He seems like he's afraid to make a mistake and turn it over. So finally we saw him throwing up some balls that could be some contested catches, some one-on-ones. You saw Pickens with the absolute beauty of a grab. But Deontay had a couple shots at those too. He wasn't doing that earlier. It's he's never thrown a pick 6 in his career, right? That's his big thing. They say Mitch Trubisky has never thrown a pick 6.
Protects the ball.
Yeah, but at some point you got to take some chances.
Didn't Kirk mention that? Didn't Kirk even talk about a guy that, I don't know if it was Kirk or maybe on here or whoever, if a guy doesn't – if their TD to INT ratio is like, yeah, they don't throw many picks, but they don't throw a ton of touchdowns. Like, well, maybe you need to throw a couple more picks, bud. You need to take a chance and take some shots down the field. Like, you got to put yourself out there if you want to make those explosive plays.
And it goes both ways, too, because I feel like with that receiver, like, they have a lot of talent on offense. They really do. Like, Chase Claypool, you look at what he, like, how he's built and everything, what he could do. Like, he should be a beast for them, but for whatever reason, he has one end around for 11 yards and 2 catches for 18 yards every single game. And it's like, why isn't this guy going out there and just eating?
Yeah. Okay, slightly off subject, but not, still in this game. Was it Bush who tackled Kareem Hunt on the goal line when Kareem Hunt had a full head of steam and Bush was going, he almost had, like, didn't even have a great angle at him. Do any of you guys remember this?
Yeah, that was Devin Bush.
Bro, what a tackle. If you're watching that, you saw him, Devin Bush got up and he was so juiced and he was jacked and he was excited. And some people, like, probably don't understand how tough of a tackle it was. And, like, I don't know why that just hit me thinking of it. When I watched it in the moment, I was like, geez, okay, they played the replay. Oh, I get why this dude is so jacked, because Kareem Hunt is a monster. That dude is huge. Yeah. He's coming downhill. A lot of times, like, if you have two guys, you can't stop the momentum from falling forward, and he fronts him up solo and gets him on the ground and doesn't let him cross the end line. Like, it was an unbelievable play.
It was, and he needed that, and he needed to make that play because Steeler fans are on him hard because he's kind of struggled last year and the year before that even with the injury. And now it's like, okay, he had 12 tackles last night. So, you know, the stopping the run is an absolute problem right now, and he's usually been a liability at that. But that was encouraging, seeing a play like that. It's like, okay, there is a little hope there. He can recover and still be that top 10 pick.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of guys making that tackle. Not only that have, like, the balls to do it. He went up high and he still got him down, didn't chop his legs. A lot of guys will go low, chop the legs, and let the dude fall in the end zone, kind of take the easy way out, or almost be like, hey, man, what do you expect me to do? This dude's on the one coming downhill, and I don't really have a head of steam to try to stop him. So, yeah, that was a huge play. Brief tangent, but I just had to – I respected the violence. There was a lot on that play.
It matters in these games too. Like, you take away the late bullshit, like goal line stands, like every possession, especially when you get in the red zone, like ends up it matters.
Mitch's that got reviewed. Was he in? If they would have called him down, it would have probably stuck with he was down. Right? They just couldn't. They couldn't overturn the original call here on Mitch's touchdown run. If you watch, Mitch kind of goes low to try to get out of the way here, and his left knee does not touch. They conclude with that, right? This right knee does touch, but the tip of the ball is already over the goal line. Right?
Is that one of those plays, too, where you were saying, like, since he's kind of giving himself up, but at the same time he's definitely extending, trying to score, like, that's where you should be able to just blast him if he's –
Like, I wonder if 23 here, if he was worried about – well, he was getting blocked a little bit. That's why. But he launches high. He may have thought he was going to go high and not go low. That's why Mitch was going under, my guess. But, yeah, I would imagine – all of these players anywhere near Mitch are worried about, like, oh, man, I don't want to get it. The only way to stop this dude is to kind of submarine my head into him almost. But I know there's a penalty and a fine for sure if this happens. So, man, I don't know what the answer is. I still think the targeting, helmet to helmet, take that away on the goal line, on the 1 yard line. Zeke, I know I didn't mention him off the top. I know we have Ian Rapoport that's going to come on here today. Do we have this guy potted up?
Not yet.
Not yet. It's fine. I meant to mention him earlier, actually, in the start of the show, but I went right to the beat drop because we got the new music.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's
the new studio. I haven't even felt like I've opened every door and cabinet yet, even though I have searched this place. I'm trying. That is kind of what I do when I go into new facilities. I like to check them out. I still got to take a lap around the exterior, too, before I leave, Ty.
Sure. I hope
There's a lot going on out there. Uh-oh. Here you go, Ty. This is what we've been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, we have this guy on at least once a week. More than that usually, right?
Yeah, I'd say 1 to 2.
A lot of these things that get written on here for his bio, I don't like to read about them because I think it might be mean, and I don't want him to think that we are mean, but I'll read this. Ian Rapoport, NFL Network insider, host of the weekly wrap-up with Rap Sheet and Friends, grade A booze bag, avid golfer, parentheses, 25 handicap, Ian Rapoport, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Rap Sheet!
Ian, I disagree with all that, for the record. I disagree with everything that just was said.
I appreciate that you were like, I'm not going to read this because it might be mean, but let me just read all of this just so everyone can judge for themselves how mean it is. And by the way, the first thing I would not dispute that. The handicap, though, it's a little. It's all publicly available.
You're like a 7 or 8, right?
I'm a 9.5.
Ooh.
So
yeah.
what are you shooting? You go play a nice course, not a crazy hard course. What are you shooting?
I'm probably shooting somewhere like 85, 86 if I'm playing pretty well.
Okay, that's pretty damn good.
On a not as nice course or not as hard course, probably low 80s. But I'm like, there's a big. I'm like Kyler Murray. I got my not good. I got my 3s and I got my 10s. That's kind of my game.
That's consistently inconsistent. That's the majority of golfers I feel like out there. But let's get to this game last night, Ian. I assume you watched. You saw everything that was happening. Any kind of injury news or anything you're hearing on that front from either team?
I would say mostly came away unscathed. Anthony Walker, the linebacker for the Browns, who's carted off with his knee immobilized. Kevin Stefanski saying he's waiting on the MRI. Does not look good. Looks like a serious injury. That's not good. He's kind of, one of the heartbeats of their defense. Other than that, I think everyone came away, pretty unscathed. I mean, it was a physical, running, nasty game that I thought was, maybe not the most aesthetically pleasing, but pretty fun. Injury pretty clean.
Yeah, it's kind of what we expected. Ian, what do you think the Steelers do at the quarterback position? We heard Mike Tomlin, and he's definitively he's not thinking about it. But how much longer do you think? Well, I guess their offense, it's not awful. They're just probably like an average looking offense, I guess, with not a lot of explosive plays. But what are they going to do?
I mean, so there's two things going on. First of all, Mitch Trubisky went into that game last night with the charge or the sort of ask of, we need you to push the ball down the field. We want big plays. We want explosive plays. You could run the ball for 3.5 yards a carry and be fine, but you got to get some explosive plays in the passing game. And they tried. I mean, the Pickens play was, I have no words, just no words.
Pretty good catch, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a pretty good catch. And it's funny, I was watching with my boys who stayed up a little past their bedtime to watch. And to see a 7 and 9-year-old react to that, like, I wish everyone could have that, because it did not make sense to them. Like, it just, athletically, it made no sense that he would catch that. It was so cool, which is great because he talked so much trash earlier in the week and then backed it all up. It was great. But Trubisky did that, just didn't capitalize on a ton of the opportunities, tried to but didn't. And then you have the lottery ticket behind him. And I think, like, if they had a regular backup behind him, you'd say, okay, Trubisky will be average, and that's what this team will be. But, like, Kenny Pickett might be really, really good. So it's like, you can't fault us for wanting to see him because everyone knows inside the organization, they know Kenny Pickett is the future. It's just when.
Yeah. Ty, what's up?
Rap Sheet, there's a lot of people out there saying that the NFL is rigging games for how that one ended last night and for us losing the Super Boost when it was a layup. It was a done deal. It was over. Do you have any knowledge of that or any comment about that?
So I watch every game to the end. And ever since the Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph situation, I will never not watch a game till the end because you never know what can happen. I put my iPad down in bed last night with, 10 seconds left because it was over. And I woke up this morning to a bunch of texts and to see Pat's video. And I'm like, what in God's name could possibly have happened in the last 7 seconds? It literally defies logic. And as you guys know, I do not gamble.
Sure. Definitely not.
Sure.
The fact that this can happen and ruin every gambler person's night is tough. And I feel for all of you. But no, the answer to your question is no. It's just literally insane.
You know the hardest part here, I think, Ty, is right here. Instead of he could have tried to recover it, he pushed it into the end zone for Denzel
clear
Ward.
bat. Yeah.
He clearly batted that in for his teammate, man. That's what it's unbelievable. That's the NFL, man. Ian, let's jump around though real quick. The Packers play the Bucks this weekend. I hear the Bucks seem like a lot of different guys maybe sitting out practice. Like, what's their deal as far as injuries?
Yeah, not good for the Bucks. So we got Mike Evans, who we know is out. We got Chris Godwin, who has not practiced yet this week. Usually that means he's out. Julio Jones, who I thought would be a game-time decision last week. I didn't think he had a great chance of playing, but didn't sound like he was a game-time decision. It sounds like he was just out. And then didn't practice this week and was spotted kind of on like the far sidelines, not practicing today. Maybe Julio doesn't play. Seems like Russell Gage is probably going to be okay. But what I wonder is, does that mean we get Cole Beasley? I mean, he has barely practiced, but really, really talented, very smart. can jump in there and just play theoretically quickly. So, we're not going to have the frontline guys for the Bucs, but I wonder if we get, Cole Beasley and just get a real quick look at him.
We'll see. What about Ravens Patriots? Lamar, there was talk about him. Is he all right? Can he throw? What's going on?
Lamar's fine. Got banged in the elbow 2 plays before that 75-yard run, so didn't throw at all on Wednesday, and then threw yesterday a ton, and has assured us that on Sunday he is going to throw a lot, which I will look forward to that. Can I tell you my favorite thing about this matchup?
Please do.
It's Bill Belichick mentioning how much the Ravens should pay Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Why do you think he did that, Ian?
Because he's playing chess and we're all playing, whatever, something not chess. Because Belichick absolutely has always had a full appreciation for other teams' superstars. Like he just, that he's watching film and just calling in people being, take a look at what this guy does. He always appreciates the true athletic marvels. I also think from a business sense, he probably wouldn't mind if the Ravens paid an absolute ton of money for anyone. So, I took note of that, and I thought it was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, Lamar took note as well, I'm sure, and felt pretty good. What's up, Ty?
Rapshi, you mentioned the Bucs. What the hell's going on in Green Bay? No receivers practice pretty much all week. Randall Cobb's sick. Who knows what's going on with Bakhtiari? Like, who's going to be available for the Packers on Sunday?
Bakhtiari did practice for the second day in a row today.
Hell yeah.
I'm not going to come up with any prognostications on whether he'll play, but the fact that he practiced is a very good sign at least. Receivers, we'll see who ends up. I don't have any firm information because it's hamstrings. We'll see who ends up practicing and how often or how much. We got Christian Watkins, we got Christian Watson, Sammy Watkins. That's hard to do.
Yeah,
both dealing with hamstrings. So I didn't get the sense any was major, but it might be a little more touch and go than you want before like a really, really big game.
What about Christian McCaffrey? I know he's a little bit banged up. Is he expected to go on Sunday? And what about some of these other guys who are maybe on the edge of playing?
Justin Herbert.
Herbert for sure.
All right, so we'll do McCaffrey first. He's going to be fine. So he missed Wednesday and then was dealing with ankle stiffness Thursday. And it sounded like everybody was annoyed at having to put him on the injury report. Like, that's the sense I got. Like, you ask people about him, they're like, ugh, he's fine, but yeah, So I think McCaffrey will be okay. Participated fully today. No injury designation. He's good to go. I would probably start him if you have him. Herbert is, I think, headed in the right direction. Like, that's a terrible injury. It's not a rib fracture, but it's a rib cartilage fracture, which is almost the same. And it's just extremely painful.
Ian, do you know he played with this? Do you know he played this in the past? I know Austin Eckler said that on his Twitch stream that this has happened before and he's played with it before.
Yeah, and he's not the only quarterback to play with this because I think what happens is if you can't, you guys know, like if you can't damage it more, sometimes you take a pain-killing injection and you go out and play. And a lot of the times we don't always know about it. Like there's plenty of times when guys will be like, oh yeah, I had bruised ribs. And you're like, oh, okay, because the actual ribs aren't fractured, but the rib cartilage is torn or fractured. I think Alvin Kamara is dealing with kind of a similar thing. That was supposed to be a 1-week injury, so I would think he'd be good to go this week as well, but that's another one we're keeping our eye on.
Jason Pierre-Paul, he signed with the Ravens?
He's going to sign with the Ravens.
How early could we see this guy out there?
Pretty early.
I mean
he's a pass
awesome.
rusher, so I'm going to have to check, but I don't know if it'll be before this week. Like, it might be one where they say, like, all right, we don't have a roster spot. We want to get through the game, and he'll sign Monday. Or maybe it's like, we're going to bring up this guy from the practice squad, and that's how we're going to use the roster. So we may not see him until next week, but it's going to happen. It's going to be 1 year up to $5.5 million, which you guys know, like, this time of year, that's a lot of money. That's like no veteran gets any money. Jason Peters signed, he got a practice squad deal. Cole Beasley got a practice squad deal. Mm-hmm. So that's what most of these guys get.
Ian, Bills at Dolphins. Obviously, Dolphins head coach McDaniel, like the talk of the town. The guy is awesome, everything he is doing. How's that game go? Are there any injuries in there, any kind of storylines that we don't know about that may affect this?
Yeah, I would say, probably the most sort of interesting there is Teron Armstead. I think barely practiced or didn't practice at all, it seemed, this week. And basically the same thing happened last week, and he went out there and played. And, like, sort of a double-edged sword because he always has something, it seems, but he is a baller, so he always goes out and plays. And, like, that's maybe the most important position on the field for them. It's just making sure that you protect Tua's protect Tua, essentially. Because they flip him on the film, but in real life he's still lefty.
Yeah.
So
how do they do that, by the way? Do you know how to do that? You know how to flip film like that?
I don't, and I was alarmed by how freaked out people were.
Yeah, why did everyone freak out? They lost their mind.
It looks
awesome.
awesome.
It looks so weird.
Why does it look so good? Yeah, that's the problem. It looks great.
I mean, like, you guys know I love to play golf.
Yeah,
and every time I play golf with a lefty, it really messes me up. They look so strange.
Do you start swinging weird?
No, they just look ridiculous.
Oh.
You know, it's like they just, it's all backwards. It just makes no sense.
Is that why you never liked Phil Mickelson? And then all this just, piled on?
Now, I must say, if you must know, Mickelson was my favorite growing up. Obviously, he took a heel turn, and I, of course, publicly have, he's been canceled, which is fine.
Yeah.
Publicly, I'm not a fan, but growing up, that was my guy. He actually is a righty, so it's almost okay.
Well, you know who also is a lefty golfer? Our own Ty Schmidt over here. So hopefully you guys don't play together.
So is Connor.
Yep.
I think Ty's at 8 handicap. Connor might be scratch.
Definitely
actually
not an 8 handicap. That is for
Wait,
sure.
2 lefties?
Yeah, we actually got another one in here too.
Bruce Brown.
What's going on?
I don't feel good about it. I wish I had known that.
Same deal though. I right-handed. I throw right-handed, but I golf left-handed.
You might be a right-handed golfer though. Like, what do you shoot?
No.
Pistol. My father is a left-handed golfer, and we've told him for 20 years, hey, you might be a right-handed golfer because of how he shoots. Yeah. So hey, the jury's still out. I think he's like 67. Evan Fox, you got a question?
Yeah, Ian, what's going on with Aiden Hutchinson? Last week he had 3 sacks.
That was cool.
Yeah, pretty cool back here, isn't it? But Aiden had 3 sacks in the first half. Second half, he was banged up. Well, it sounds like a thigh thing. What's going on? Can Lions fans expect him to play or no?
So generally, when you have, I should come clean, by the way. Total honesty, because I would never lie to you guys. My son Max plays golf lefty, which is embarrassing, but it is what it is.
I hope he goes pro and rubs right in your face. That's awesome.
I'll be caddying for him. It'll be great.
Good.
He's already a better putter than I am. What were we talking about?
Hutchinson.
Yeah, Aiden.
Hutchinson, yeah. So he practiced today. So generally when you have a guy dealing with kind of more of a nagging, not major injury, and is able to practice on Friday, generally that means he's able to play. I mean, DeAndre Swift barely practiced this week, also out there Friday.
Nice.
He should be good to go. And Hutchinson's an interesting one because you sort of never can tell how quickly guys are going to make an impact. He has made an impact very quickly. So, all of a sudden, that's a really, really important guy for them, which you sort of hope for, but you never know.
Ian, last guy I got to ask about, Dak Prescott. From listening to Jerry Jones, sounds like everything is great. This guy's going to be slinging the ball possibly in a day or two.
Next week.
What do you think about Dak Prescott and actually how they're handling the whole situation?
Right, to refer to ayahuasca. I saw a few articles people sent me about us doing the tea celebration. I just want to stop you there right away because the reference to ayahuasca or even marijuana, putting the tag drug on them, is a manipulative word that creates a bias against those specific things. And it happens all over society, right? Think about the word fat and sugar when it comes to food. Fat brings an image of unhealthiness and maybe obesity, death, where sugar is sweet, right? Sweet is kindness. Kindness is loving. So we have these 2 words that couldn't be more opposite. Fat, high fat foods are actually usually pretty good for you. Foods with high sugar are terrible for you. And sugar, you cut sugar out of your diet and it has an immediate impact on your cells and your body, especially if there's, cancerous growth in your body or precancerous growth. Sugar, not good for you. Fat, most, fats are pretty good for you.
Go shopping around town. It's a beautiful place down here, though. I mean, we're kind of posted up